Namaskaram Swamiji. I am delighted that you invited me to share my thoughts, which may not be consistent with the many discussions that has been happening here, which may be very different, but still it may be relevant if we have the patience to listen to an alternative view. You know, when I addressed the Republic TV sometime in March or so, Swamiji listened to that speech and he said a very exemplary message to me, which made me feel that I have really got appreciation from a quarter from which it is very difficult to get appreciation. So he felt that I should share the thoughts which I had shared in the Republic Enclave, which became very viral. Maybe because it's a different thought from the normal thoughts that are uttered in platforms like this. So he felt that I should share these thoughts on the G20 platform because it had a global implication with an Indian orientation. You know, the world is changing and changing, and nobody can stop changes because changes occur on their own. But you know, when changes take place right in front of us, we feel the world is changing, but it is always changing. Bertrand Russell said sometime in 1920s, if I remember right, that the world has changed phenomenally, unbelievably, and unfathomably in his lifetime. I thought his lifetime was too long a time for the world not to change, even unbelievably. But what has happened in the last 2.5 years, particularly in the last 1 year after the Ukraine war? The world has changed forever. In fact, all the rules on the basis of which we are talking may not hold good at all. In fact, we may be talking about rules which were prevalent 100 years ago. The rules that were prevalent, which have been prevalent in the last 1.5 years, do not seem to be relevant anymore. You see, unless we understand with a helicopter perspective, we are on silos. Our thinking, our perspective, our conclusions, our direction is silo-based. Economic development, social development, environment. I mean, all these things are so thoroughly and inextricably integrated. Unless we have a helicopter view, we will not be able to understand what we mean by each of these things, because each of these things on their own cannot stand. And I need not have to go very far. I need not have to repeat the whole 50 minutes or 55-minute speech which I did in the Republican conclave. I will tell you where the G20 exercise, so far as India is concerned, with Indian Prime Minister as the lead began, and what he spoke and how it is relevant, and how something more is expected from India, Indian institutions, Indian thinking for the world. You know, the Prime Minister made two propositions. He said that the world should have a different philosophy than the philosophy it has adopted so far. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the philosophy. This Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not limited to humans. It is not world as one family. It is earth as one family. This distinction, unless we understand, we will not be able to comprehend what Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means. It's not a philosophy. It's a practice. And its practice is grounded in reality in India. That's what I am going to tell you. You see, in the West, the famous concept is precept and practice. But in our civilization, it is Swadhyaya Pravachana. We have to practice what we are preaching. That is the Indian way. And that's what I am going to tell you. How this idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the environmental integration of humans, or what is known as ecocentric approach as compared to the anthropocentric approach which is driving the world for the last 100 years, unless we explain it in terms of the groundwork that is so deep into the Indian consciousness, Indian methods, Indian practices, Indian lifestyle. Unless we comprehend that, we will not be able to know what kind of contribution India has made and is making and will continue to make, regardless of all the rules that we see about environment, ecology, social norms, and how the world is being run on rules which are destructive of all this. And the world will realize very soon. Because that the world order is changing, it has changed forever, has come from not people who are academicians, people who set the world order in motion. Post-Cold War, like Henry Kissinger, who said after the COVID advent, he said the world order has changed forever. He didn't say anything more. This whole article he wrote was about 650 words. He didn't say anything more than the fact that it has changed forever, and he didn't say which change where, from where to where. So this set off a huge thinking in the geopolitical and the entire financial and other circles as to what is the change that he has talked about. And after the Ukraine war, in the World Economic Forum meeting last year in May, Henry Kissinger spoke. He said this war has to stop. If it doesn't stop, the world order will permanently get restructured. Please note these words. Because today we are talking about all kinds of financial controls and the environmentally friendly financial regulations, and then the COP meet and all that. All this rests on what we call as the world order. There is an order, there is a consensus, there is a leadership, there are rules and regulations, there are countervailing forces, there are trade-offs. All this is based on the fulcrum called the world order. And this world order is a West-centric order. It is based on Western experiences, Western understanding, Western lifestyle, Western viewpoints. There is nothing wrong. West is good for the West, but whether it is good for the rest is the issue. And we have to be very careful about it. We are not going to criticize anybody. We can't live the life of, say, Africans in Asia. We can't live the life of Asians in America. It's not possible. So we have to understand the world is diverse. You know, where the word diversity came to the United Nations dictionary when? Can anyone say in this audience, the word diversity came into the United Nations dictionary when? Anyone? United Nations was formed in 1946. The word diversity came into United Nations dictionary in 1994. It was eco-diversity. Human diversity was still beyond the reach and comprehension of United Nations. Only in 2001, Cultural Diversity Convention came into the United Nations. Till then, the United Nations was unaware that human beings are diverse. They had set in 1951. A group of economists were constituted to study what should be the way in which the world should move by the United Nations, which was a very powerful institution at the time, unlike its reduced role today, which is nobody today. United Nations today is nobody as compared to the power it wielded, geopolitical, economic, cultural, power it wielded in 1951. So in 1951 they set a group of economists and some persons from India also joined. Of course, they joined people for statistical reasons. You have also joined. But the rule that they set was that there should be a one-size-fits-all model for the world. They said if you have to develop, you have to give up your philosophy, your way of life, your lifestyle, your relationships. And any community which is not going to pay this price is going to languish and not develop. This was the whole thrust. This was called the one-size-fits-all model. And of course, what was a rule-based model became accepted in the year in 1990s When Francis Fukuyama came with his famous thesis after the collapse of communism, that the West has won against the West and it is best for the West to follow the West. And he made two critical points. Liberal democracy and market economics have won over all other way of life, and this is the victor, the icon as well as the practice which the West has to accept, and on the basis of which globalization was set off. And in 2008, globalization received such a shake-up. In fact, globalization should have been called off in 2008 on fake grounds. All the economists joined together and said, it is not an economic crisis, it is economics in crisis. Because the very theory of economics which they were adumbrating as the value which will drive the world, which will determine all other aspects of life, the Economist magazine came out with a front page cover story. The economics textbook was melting away, and the economists were fighting like, the roadside, you see in the water tap, how people quarrel for, you are responsible, I am responsible, you are responsible. The entire macroeconomic theory was considered to be a failure. Paul Krugman said that the macroeconomic theories that were trotted out in the last 30 years is useless at best and harmful at worst. Nothing has changed. The same theories which Alan Greenspan told to the Congress. I don't know what happened. Everything has collapsed. I can't even explain why it collapsed. We trusted the computers. We trusted the Nobel laureates. We trusted the market. Everything has collapsed. I cannot explain why it collapsed. The same collapsed model has been not even repacked. It is continuing in the same way. It is in this enormous crisis of there being I am challenging any economist here to answer this single question. Is there an economic theory today which is applicable universally to all nations at all times? Because the economists always used to say, economic theories are universal. And you say if you raise the interest rate, savings will go up, expenditure will come down. And so the US interest rate going up and coming down is dominating and obsessing the world. But China and Japan has always proved they maintain zero rate of interest from 2001. That if you go and deposit money to the bank, 1,000 rupees, the bank will give you 1,000 rupees at the end of 2 years, and it will not give you any interest. Japan was still doing savings, not savings in normal form. Banks are getting even today 51% of the national savings at nil interest. Not only that, Japan said later in 2003 or so that if you deposit 1,000 rupees, at the end of the year I will give you only 990 rupees. Negative rate of interest. People are still depositing money. Where is the economic theory which is based on interest? The whole thing has become an absolute hoax. We have to now understand where we stand, and for that purpose I want to tell you a few things relating environment, lifestyle, what are Indian values, whether the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a slogan or practice. I will tell you what environmental damage has not happened today. Greenhouse gas has been added to the atmosphere for the last 150 years, to say the least. Who shares what? Or the accumulated poison in the atmosphere. There is no way of taking it out. You are only talking about not to add more. I am giving you statistics of what has gone, the poison that has gone up. The share of the United States is 25%. That of European Union is 22%. And that of China is 13%. United States and Europe added together is 47%. If you add China's 13%, it is 60%. You know what is the share of India? Can anyone guess? In the entire recorded history, the Indian people who are number two to China and number one, you know what is their addition to the poisonous gas contribution in the atmosphere? Can anyone say here? 3%. Is that taken into account in COP? And I am going to tell you more. Of course, Russia, Ukraine, which is such a small country, 1.2%. Its population is in millions. This is the environmental damage the Western order has done to the world. Now we have to understand, when we are talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means living with all living beings in harmony. Not only living beings, with what, of course, forest, water, or river, or mountain, trees, animals, fish, everything is divine. Isavasyamidam sarvam yatkinjat jagatyam jagati tena tena punjidaha maganda kasya sudan. What does that mean? It is the divine which has manifested in all these forms. Whether it is man or animal or trees or wood or cloth. You know, you must take as little as possible so that something is available to others. This is the idea of sharing. It is the idea of caring. It is the idea of debiting the nature with your lifestyle. In 2015, a statistics was published in England that the unused clothes thrown in the sea as unused was 32 billion pounds. 32 billion pounds. Unused wardrobe thrown into the sea. All of us, you know, we lived with 2 pants and 2 shirts. Now we are having 30 pants and 40 shirts and 20 coats and 30 shoes. See the lifestyle change. This is at the cost, according to Isavasya Upanishad, of the nature. So in this viewpoint, I am going to tell you how the Indian lifestyle is still preserving the idea of environment and contributing to the world. I am going to give you very simple statistics. I am not going to contribute to confuse you with theories. We live on a land area of just 2.5%. India's share of the world land area is 2.5%. Our population is 30%. Our cattle population is 80%, human population. Cattle population is 30%. 300 million cattle population, cows and buffaloes. And our bioresources, other birds and other things are 8%. 33% of them are available nowhere in the world. How is it that on 2.5% of the land area, 18% population, 30% cattle population, you look at the cattle population in the world, 300 million in India, 257 million in Brazil, 95 million in China, 94 million in US, 89 million in China. These are all 3 times the size of India. We share a space with cattle. How? I am going to tell you. And in this, the per capita land available, because these are all important when you consider economics, environment, culture, lifestyle, philosophy. All these are integrated, otherwise you can't do this. So, the per capita land available in the world is 63 hectares per head. In America it is 1.27. In China it is 0.3. In India it is 0.13 is the per capita land available for the people. And the total farmland available in India is just 1% of the farm area of the world. How is it that we are feeding our population, which is 18%, animal population which is 30%, birds and other living creatures 8%, with this small 1% farmland? The credit goes to our lifestyle, our philosophy, very custom. Our culinary art, our women, they are responsible for it. Men have contributed nothing to this, I can tell you. You know, if the American food style is adopted, you know, the average meat consumption in America is 109 kilos per capita. It is 84% in European Union. In India, it is 3.1 kg per head. Many people think these biryani shops and others coming, there is a huge increase in meat consumption. No! It was 5.2% in 2001. It has come down to 3.1%. You know, because of Chinmaya Mission, Ramakrishna Mission, Mata Amritamnamayi, Shri Ravi Shankar, women are not cooking at home, men have to eat outside in restaurants. You know, there is an intrinsic lifestyle change based on our philosophy, because we are being reminded that this is not the way. It's not that you should not eat meat. It is a way of eating meat. That's what I am going to tell you. It's not that all Indians are vegetarians. 65% of the Indians are non-vegetarians. But for them, meat eating is like vegetable. It's not the main food. Cereal eating is the main thing. And now I am going to give you the secret of how India maintains its health. You know, it is, if you all of you want the, where from I am quoting the statistics, there is a very reliable data bank called ourworldindata.com. Ourworldindata.com. From where I am giving you all these facts. You know, nature is arranged in such a way that 71% of the global area is water, 21% is land, balance meadows and things like that. And the whole body is like that. Our body consists of 70% water, rest mass. And now, of this 21% land, 29% land, the habitable land is 10%, farmland is 10%. Of the farmland, 2% is used for crop farming, 8% is used for animal farming. You please see the ratio. And of the 2% farmland, the crop farming gives you 83% of the calories. Only 17% of the calories you get from 8% or 80% of the land which is devoted for producing meat. Gives you only 17% of the calories. In terms of protein, this 2% land which is devoted for farming gives you 63% of the protein and 37% of the calories. You imagine, if whole world adopts the American model of eating, we will need 140% of the agricultural land we have. We will need 40% more land than we have. If the world adopts the Indian model of eating food, it will need only 44% of the agricultural land which it uses. If India adopts the American way of life, we give up our dosas, idlis, parathas, and we begin eating McDonald's and burgers, we will need 6 times the agricultural land we have today. That will be 2.5 times the size of India. Does anyone understand our philosophy here? Even non-vegetarians here, they won't eat non-vegetarian on Friday, on Saturday, on Monday, on Ekadashi, on Dwadashi. Why? This is our consideration to nature. It's part of us. That's why we worship cows. Karl Marx said these are all semi-barbaric people worshipping cows and monkeys. And he is still valid when the environment has proved he is invalid. We have not changed. Our thoughts are frozen. So we need to do something very different. And I will stop with how the lifestyle contribution is there. You know, in America, in the year 1960, there were 3.1 persons residing in a household. In every family, there were 3.1%. Now it has come down to 2.51. This reduction meant construction of 31 million more houses. 8.5 trillion is the financial cost. Environmental cost immeasurable. But you come to India, we have 4.5% per household. In fact, in rural areas it is less, than urban areas it is more. If this comes down to 3.5, just 1% reduction per household, we will need more than 51 million houses. And if it comes down to the American level of 2.5, we will need more than 150 million houses. There will be no space in India. We share our space at home with our father, children, sometimes brothers and sisters. You know, sharing the space and difficulties unburdens the atmosphere, unburdens nature, unburdens governments, unburdens economy. Is it the way you are teaching in schools? Our schools have nothing to do with our lifestyle, our economics, our fundamentals. And you know, because we take care of our parents, we educate our children, sometimes educate even the extended families, take care of them. This relation-based approach to life has ensured a shared social security obligation. In America, all these obligations have shifted to the government. So most of the West in America, I am giving because the facts are available. The unfunded social security obligations, which means the obligations taken over from the families, taking care of the old age people, infirm people, unemployed people. The family obligations which the state has taken over, the unfunded, today you don't have the money. If you record the future obligations, it is $63 trillion, against which there is not $1 in the hands of Americans. You know how it happened? They said you need not have to take care of your parents, you just pay the social security, we will take care of them. So, when the baby boomers were there, the receipts from these social security obligations were more than the expenditure they had to make on the elders, infirm, unemployed people. But now it has become the reverse. Population has come down, and so the contributors are less, and the consumers of the social security are more. In the result that you have $63 trillion deficit, and some people say more, but nobody says less. Families have been nationalized. But in India, these obligations are privatized not by government, but by our traditions, our values, our philosophy, our lifestyle. The greatest contribution for this has come from our women. Do we understand environment, economy that way? In fact, in 2002, I addressed a meeting in America, in San Jose. It is available on the net, it's an audio speech, where I said Indian economy is feminine in character. Women and nature go together because they turn waste into wealth. In most houses, the fight between husband and wife is what to throw and what not to throw. Because they always see a use, a purpose. You know, we have a very different approach to life. The world doesn't know. Even you don't know. Your education institutions, your intellectuals, your academia, they know nothing about these values. We have a shared life. I will conclude my speech with a quote from Mahabharata. In 4 lines, they have summed up the entire Indian way, view, philosophy, practice of life. Tyajat yegam kulasyate, gramarte kulam tyajet. Gyamam gramam dhanapatasyate, atmarte prithvi tyajet. Which means, for the welfare of the family, the individual rights are compromised. For the welfare of a village, the family's rights are compromised. For the welfare of the nation, the village rights are compromised. The only person who has absolute right without any obligation is who doesn't want anybody on this earth, anything on this earth. Only a person who doesn't want anything in this earth need not have to give up his rights. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said in 1947, 6 or 47 if I remember right, when the draft Human Rights Declaration was sent to him. And Mr. Gandhi, please sign this. Gandhi said, this is Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If you change the title into Universal Declaration of Human Duties, I will sign. The entire concept of right, parents' rights, elders' rights, animals' rights, children's rights, neighbors' rights, that is the duty. We say this is my way, you have to contribute. You know, the liberal democracies which promoted this, they are only 13% of the world's population. India added is only more than 30%. 54% of the world lives under dictatorship. Only 46% lives under some kind of electoral democracy. In this, the 13% liberal democracies are under serious stress. You know, only 45% of the youths vote. They enjoy all the freedom, but they don't even strengthen the state which maintains that freedom because they are very happy with the private life. You have created such automation of the mind, lifestyle. There is no collectivity except the state, police, court, army. That is not the way we can live. We require an entirely different approach to life. There has to be an alignment between Chinmaya Mission and Government of India to know what the government should be teaching in schools. But if you associate it will be Balwa, it will be saffronization. Is it the way the Indian mind? What we are living, we are not able to say. It is not that we want to evangelize our people. No, we want to make them understand this is our lifestyle. This is how we live. We respect our parents. We respect our mother. We respect even. We have even an obligation to our neighbor. We respect trees. We respect mountains. We consider the entire creation as divine. Where is saffron in this? So long as we suffer from this cerebral paralysis, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to come out of the Western mindset where the individual dominates nature and they dominate the world. I am very sorry to say that is being seriously challenged, not by a democracy, but by a dictatorship which you created, China. It's a very big topic. It requires a whole day's discussion to understand the basics of what I am saying. I am happy that I got an opportunity to share some of my thoughts. Thank you very much.